But first tonight, it has been close to 3 weeks since the state of Georgia began to gradually loosen its coronavirus lockdown. Starting in late April, the state allowed hair salons, bowling alleys, barbershops, and gyms to reopen. 3 days later, restaurants and theaters followed. Hospitals were once again allowed to perform all needed surgeries. They could stop pretending that the coronavirus was the only medical problem that patients face. It's not. There's nothing especially radical about what Georgia did, but you wouldn't know that if you were watching television that week. The decision was described there as the most reckless public health decision since 9 out of 10 family doctors endorsed Camel cigarettes. Untold millions would die because Georgia was reopening. The state of Georgia would be flattened by a tidal wave of corpses. It was that dangerous. Even Stacey Abrams took a break from campaigning for vice president to offer an assessment.
We honestly don't understand. The mayors of our largest cities have all expressed deep concern, as have our scientists. This makes no sense, and it doesn't improve our economy. It simply puts more Georgians at risk.
Yeah, she seems to know what she's talking about. You should know, though, that Stacey Abrams is delusional. At one point, she announced that she was the governor of Georgia, which from a mental health standpoint is one step from claiming you're Napoleon. Now Abrams imagines she is a public health expert. Best to humor her on that. Just nod and look interested. Chris Hayes is not a scientist either. He's MSNBC's most ardent male feminist. But he still has strong views on epidemiology. Hayes was so upset by the idea that people in Georgia might go outside without permission that he suddenly found himself arguing that everyone must obey the Trump administration.
If that sounds insane to you, you're not alone. And for the record, Georgia does not meet the White House guidelines. It does not have a 14-day trajectory of declining cases. It has tested less than 90,000 people out of a population of more than 10 million. Mayors in Georgia are describing the governor's decision as reckless, dangerous, and illogical.
Oh, the voice of overpriced Brooklyn. We must do what the White House tells us, he screams on MSNBC. That's how dangerous it was. Mark this day, wrote one longtime Washington reporter, because 2 and 3 weeks from now, the Georgia death toll is blood on Governor Brian Kemp's hands. Well, as it happens, we did, in fact, mark that day. It was April 25th, 2020, when the reopenings began. That day, Georgia had 650 new cases of coronavirus. Yesterday, which was 18 days later, Georgia had a total of 555 cases of coronavirus. Infections and death in Georgia have been declining since early April. That's why they began to reopen it. There are still sick people in the state. There will be for a while. Some of them will die. But as of tonight, Georgia's numbers, the actual numbers, are no worse than the national average. And that tells us a lot. We should be thrilled by this news because it suggests that America can begin to return to normal, restore rights stolen from the population, maybe even treat citizens like adults once again, and not court medical disaster. You would think our leaders would be racing to the podium to share this great news. But of course, they're not. Just the opposite, in fact. They're doubling down on authoritarianism. They enjoy being in total control of your life. They do not plan to relinquish the power they received from this pandemic anytime soon, if ever.